yeah, he popped his head out. And then I didn't like realize how much I used on that, because like the moment he popped his head out and broke my guard, he hopped on top of me and I was dead.
You know, get back to what you're good at or switch positions. Like, what determines that for you?
I just feel like it's just like all natural. It's all instinct. It's like whatever you're the most comfortable with and whatever you go out there and do, that's what like you've instinctually practiced. I think we have like 3 really good hard days of grappling, and that's what's gonna get you the most tired too. You know, you could talk about how cool striking looks all the time, but grappling is what's gonna make everyone tired, and when you're tired, that's when you're gonna be a coward.
Exhaustion makes a coward out of all of us.
Out of everybody. You can't defend the way that you want to. All of a sudden you have someone on top of you, and then you can't breathe anymore, or they're raining down bombs on you and you're dead. You know,
or you always hear this thing like, you better check your ego at the door, which for the most part is true. Here's the problem, is that we all have egos.
Yeah.
It's all in us.
Yeah.
What makes a good fighter, man?
You could be the best person in the room, in the entire world. You could be the best person in the room, but if the lights shine on you and you don't get W's, you're not going to be a good fighter. There is life outside of fighting. And it's hard not to identify yourself with it, but there's going to come a time in your life for everybody where you're not going to be this anymore. So enjoy it while you can, but also enjoy the other things. But you gotta ignore the outside hate, and then you just gotta stand by your conviction.
That's great advice, man.
Or good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, man.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Wherever you people are into, but I'm an American. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Pablo has this, if those people that are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, he has this Peaky Blinders, hat with the razor blade on the back,
In case anybody's feeling cheeky.
In
case anybody's feeling cheeky this time around.
Yeah, by the order. Right?
By the order.
Okay,
I actually just watched the first 2 episodes of that show 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I like it.
Oh, you're in for it.
I like
dude.
it so far.
You're in for it.
Yeah, I like it so far.
So we were talking about your last fight, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling you before this, you're one of those guys, kind of like a Cody Steele, like as far as belt wise and athleticism wise. I'm like, damn. And I've known you for years now, ever since, we started training Muay Thai with Johnny back in the old days. I'm like, dude, this guy is just gonna be one of the hottest prospects. Like, you know what I mean?
Thank
you. I know there's a bunch of MMA, fighters out there, and then people could blow smoke up people's ass. But I mean that you have the build for it. I've seen you wrestle. We were talking about this, which we'll get into, that you help a lot of your peers. Like, you have all the pieces to be just like one of, like I said, the hottest prospects. In your last fight, though, you ended up getting choked, right?
Yeah,
submitted
I got choked
on
out.
a choke. What do you think happened? Because like I was telling you, I was 110% that you were gonna like dog walk the guy. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, Pablo, I'm not even like worried or thinking about it. And then I was surprised. I was like, wait, what? Come on. At first, I thought it was a joke. What do you think happened? During that match that led to that.
I just judging from like the videos that I watched on the guy that I ended up fighting, I didn't think it was going to be like the hardest fight I'd ever get into. But I knew like I was going to be in for like a scrap. Towards the end of that round, I just remember him shooting in on me, and I jumped the ghillie.
Man.
And in the fight
over here.
in the fight, but I thought I didn't know I had an arm in, but I did have an arm in, and I just remember like looking over at Jerry, cage side, and I remember just seeing him like crunch down. So I tried crunching down, and I put.
Oh, he was doing the. Okay. I see. He was like making gestures on the sidelines. Yeah.
And I did my very best. And I started crunching down, and I put everything I had into that, bro. And I remember hearing him.
Really?
Yeah, I remember hearing that. And then, he popped his head out. And then I didn't like realize how much I used on that, because like the moment he popped his head out and broke my guard, he hopped on top of me and I was dead. And I just remember looking up and I was like, all right, well.
What do you mean by that? Were you like exhausted, or were your arms just tired?
My arms were gassed. I couldn't feel them anymore. And yeah, I didn't feel like any strength to like move my legs back or anything like that. I think I just burned myself. Like I put everything I had into that choke, like I said. And yeah, he got on top of me, mounted me. And I remember looking up and I was like, ooh, I could eat some elbows right now. Or which it's not the best thing to say, but a lot of the times in my grappling exchanges, like in the practice room, I give up my back a lot because I'm always like, I'm pretty confident that I could, like I normally get up. Like if I put myself in a bad position, like I'd rather give up my back and maybe get choked, which I did, than as opposed to like having someone on top of me and just raining down on me.
When you gave up your back, did you feel any sense of, I mean, obviously when you give up, your back, like you're probably gonna feel a sense of danger, but did you feel like anything in danger? Did you think that you could manage?
I thought I was going to be able to manage, right. But it's like, as soon as I turned around, dude, like I said, I had nothing. Like I could not move. Yeah.
Interesting.
I could not move.
So you put all your pretty much everything you had in that guillotine, hoping to finish it, right? Yeah. It was like a all or nothing kind of thing.
All or nothing.
And what's weird is that, that's mixed martial arts, right?
Yeah.
It's just fucking you zig when you zag, like George St. Pierre should have said, and it just happens. Like I said, I was like 110% that I was like, okay, come on, dude. Any position, Pablo's gonna get it. But then shit happens like that, man.
Yeah, shit happens.
Oh, fuck.
But and like I think the part that like hurts the more, because I've rewatched it a couple times, a lot of times, and I think the part that just like breaks my heart the most is that I believe in myself, and I believe in my abilities, but yeah, for whatever reason in the fight, I felt safer jumping that guillotine, pulling him on top of me, as opposed to just sprawling, getting back to the feet. Because I feel like I won every exchange on the feet. And I've had multiple people come up to me and tell me that they had me winning like that second round, just tool them up, piece by piece, and then we just made a bad decision.
When a crazy man, this is like a question that I just thought of because I'm fucking curious. When you're in a fight like that, man, how do you distinguish when seconds are happening? When you're going seconds to seconds, fucking and scrambles and all that. When do you know to trust your intuition and when to pull back and get back to what you're good at or switch positions? Like what determines that for you personally in like a real fight, in a competition fight like that?
I just feel like it's just like all natural. It's all instinct. It's like whatever you're the most comfortable with and whatever you go out there and do, that's what like you've instinctually practiced doing. Cause I've been in like a couple firefights, like in fights this year, and I felt like I've always gone back to my wrestling. I mean, I started off as a wrestler. A lot of people down here in Vegas think that I'm more of like a striker, and I'm not. And it makes me happy that people think that.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, that makes me really happy because sometimes I feel like I'm not good at striking at all.
So would you say your specialty is like grappling?
That's
specialization kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up wrestling. I was a lot better at it than I was at any other sport that I did growing up. And then, just due to a couple like injuries here and there, like I had to switch over and kind of change my style a little bit to striking. And then, so like I said, it makes me happy that people think that I'm more of a striker. But every firefight that I've been into, for whatever reason, like my fight in July, like I got into some like a little bit of exchange, but I ended up taking that guy down and submitting him. And then the fight I had in Montana, my last amateur fight, I got into a little bit of a firefight with that guy, and I ended up taking that guy down. And I ended up finishing him on the feet. But yeah, for whatever reason, I go back to my grappling because I feel like that's where I'm like safest at, and I'm like strongest at.
You're comfortable.
Yeah,
for sure.
We're comfortable there. Yeah, we're comfortable there.
When you're getting into these firefights, are you winning the firefights and then taking them down, or are you kind of like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Oh shit kind of moment. I can take this guy down, dude. Like, what's the situation there, man?
So far in these last two, I think it's just been like an oh shit kind of moment, like boom, 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 and then like next thing you know, I'm shooting him for the legs, and then I get them. Especially the not this last fight, but the fight that I had in September. That guy was 6'7" or 6'6", and I didn't know what his grappling was gonna be like. But, you know, from my experience, like I hate fighting tall and lanky guys because it's so hard to get in, and it's like you're gonna get hit going in. So I knew that, like, if I could grab him, especially at 170, like ever since I've been fighting at 170, I feel like I'm so much stronger and like so much bigger.
Where you fighting at before?
I fought at 85.
Oh.
I fought at light heavyweight, and then I fought at heavyweight.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Heavyweight?
Yeah. So I started at my first couple fights were at light heavyweight, and then I took a couple at heavyweight, and then I went down to 85.
Yeah.
And then had a couple at 85 where I was like, yo, some of these guys are kind of big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I would imagine. Yeah.
And then coming to Syndicate and having more of like a goal of what I wanted to do, and then just being in the room with like everybody that's a monster, you know, like I can't even just single out one person, but you know, get my ass kicked by everybody. I was like, you know what? I think it's time to move down and like start taking certain things a little bit more seriously and having discipline in those areas.
Yeah, you had to make that business decision.
Yeah,
you had to fill it out a little bit.
Yeah, no more fighting big guys for me.
Yeah. So that's where you're like swimming around, right? Like 170 and pretty much for good.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. So can you take me through the regimen? Like, say, before you get into a fight, you know, and just for reference, I go to Syndicate with Pablo over here. We train at Syndicate MMA. What
best gym in the world?
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about like the training camp aspect of it without giving too much away? Obviously, like as far as what is your particular? What do they have you do in particular? Is it customized for you? Is it like do they work on your strengths rather than? Or do they game plan for the actual guy that you're fighting?
So far, from my experience, we do a little bit of game planning. Most of the guys that I've fought in, there's not really too much to go off of. And I don't think any of them have done anything like super insane, like where they were good in one area. So I had to like specialize in getting better at that area. But we just take a look at what their build is, you know, their stance. Obviously, we got to see that. And then kind of check out what they like to do a little bit. And then as far as like my sparring partners go, like we'll kind of pick guys out around the same build and then like work that. But for all my camps, it's just really kind of improving on all aspects of my game. Yeah.
How do you manage that, man? Like, how are you like, okay, we're just going to do wrestling one day and then let's just go.
Whoa.
How do you, I guess a better
like plan for it?
Definition would be, how do you systemize that?
First things first, I always prioritize pro practice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
Of course.
Everything we're planning, like everything I need to do to get ready for a fight is going to be in pro practice. When I'm in an actual camp, we prioritize pro practice, but then I'll meet up with Danny and schedule out like our pad work, and then if we need to get work in with any other coaches like John or Max or Trauma, Emily will like kind of give me a schedule on when to set that up. Pro practice is the number one thing I prioritize, and then everything else comes after that.
Is it because pro practice you get the best out of everything?
You get the best out of everything, and you get the best. Like you don't have to worry about a partner. There's always going to be somebody there, and it's going to cover, like if you go to pro practice every single day of the week that you're supposed to, you're going to cover everything. And then like pad work, I think is just fine tuning like little things here and there. And then sparring rounds, those are like, you know, where we apply everything that we're working.
Yeah. So even within the pro practice, you know, for people that are aspiring pros or, you know, maybe in the lower level AMIs or in the AMIs thinking about going into pros, can you talk a little bit about, you know, what goes on in these pro practices, especially, you know, being at one of the best gyms in the world?
The majority of our week is mostly grappling. It's not the most fun thing to do, but it's like one of the more essential things that need to be covered because nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to get good, but everybody wants to be like good at it, right?
Yeah.
Just nobody wants to do the
work
for it.
No one wants to do it, man.
Yeah. So
no one wants to wrestle.
Yeah, I think we have like 3 really good hard days of grappling, and that's what's gonna get you the most tired too. You know, you could talk about how cool striking looks all the time, but grappling is what's gonna make everyone tired. And when you're tired, that's when you're going to be a coward.
Yes.
You know?
Me and Danny said it, right? Like that quote that exhaustion makes a coward out of all of us.
Out of everybody. You know?
Like,
and
it doesn't matter how tough, like, once that thing, your arms start going down.
your arms start going down. You can't defend the way that you want to. All of a sudden, you have someone on top of you, and then you can't breathe anymore, or they're raining down bombs on you, and you're dead. You know.
Yep.
So yeah, we're mostly like a grappling heavy practice throughout the week, and then we spar twice a week, and I think sometimes on Saturdays, but I work, so I never make it into those.
Yeah, with the grappling aspect of it, what do they have you do, man? In particular, what's I mean, grappling is just hard, but in particular, like what's hardest? You know,
the hardest thing for me is wall work. Wall work is so it's a grind. Whether you're being on the offensive side of it or the defensive side of it, it's just a grind to be able to take people down, or if you get taken down, to get back up. Especially on the cage, it doesn't feel fun like having your back on it. It doesn't feel fun like putting your hands or your arms and you're grinding someone down, pulling them, rubbing it on there. But if you can get comfortable in those kind of moments where someone who is good at it, like one of your practice partners, and you know they're gonna smash you for an hour and a half. If you can get comfortable and get better in those positions in the room, then you can get better.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a piece of cake in the fight. Yeah.
How intense are those drills in particular, man?
Drilling necessarily isn't the most intense part. Sometimes it's easier to take easier or a lighter approach to drilling, but the live sessions go pretty hard. Okay. Yeah, like we emphasize, like, you know, we're not just doing jiu-jitsu at pro practice. We're fighting, you know. So throw in some ground and pound in there. Throw in some go for like hard like chokes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing particularly when you guys like spar, right? You need those looks and you need like a real reality check. Yeah, because what's gonna happen.
And it's like it's never like anything personal, you know. If like I hit someone hard, or someone hits me hard, or if someone slams me, it's never anything personal. It's just like we all have like a pretty mutual understanding that like if we don't do this to each other in here, then when it happens in the live situation, then it's like, how are you going to react to that? You know, are you just going to sit down and cower and like ball up and look for a way out? Or are you going to get back up and get ready to smash, you know?
Does it ever get personal?
Sometimes the rounds I get hit hard and I'm all right, I'm going to have to hit you hard back. At least before this timer runs out, you know? But never like, I'll never hold on to a grudge. Like after practice is over, you know? Yeah.
You know, the reason I ask is because I think that's a big thing in like just martial arts in general. You know, you always hear, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, you always hear this thing like you better check your ego at the door, which for the most part is true. Here's the problem is that we all have egos.
Yeah.
It's all in us. Yeah. And it's up to you to kind of check that and compartmentalize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But dude, I'm sure when you're doing the most primitive thing, like a man or a woman can do, which is this, you know, you're literally like gladiators in the thing. Like that's probably the hardest to check, right?
Yeah.
Because number one, there's a comparison game going on too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of like, okay, maybe not, probably the next person that you kind of look towards that would give you a hard run, you know, not maybe towards like the smaller, the small guy, like that's a foot shorter than you, but then the guy that's like close to you, it's kind of like if you guys are sparring, I bet you it gets like really competitive.
No, for sure it does. I think because like we want what's best for each other and we want to bring the best out of each other, but we want what's best for ourselves too, you know. It's like if you get beat up one day, you're gonna go home or you're gonna be in your car on the way back to home and you're just like wondering like, did he beat me up because he's better than me, or did he beat me up because like I'm going through some stuff in here, you know, or like, I only let him like win today because like I'm having a bad day, but it's like reality doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Today he had your number.
Yeah, for sure.
And like a teammate aspect, you just got to let it go. Like that's why he's here. He's here to get better and he's here to make you better.
Yeah.
You know?
Is everyone, you know, as far as like, I know within a tribe, there's a tribe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know that, you know, for example, at the gym, like, you know, we're one big family and that's how it happens. But, you know, evolutionary wise and just like human behavior in general, there's this like socioeconomics of like, well, is there? I guess what I'm trying to say is that is there like a tight knit group over here and then a group over here and then it's like, or is everyone just kind of like, all right, cool, man, like, let's
I
do
think
this together? I know there has to be some unification, obviously.
yeah,
'cause we're
no,
all
for
in
sure.
one gym, but
There's definitely like a little group of us that all hang out like after practice or on the weekends and watch fights.
which is normal, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
which is
you
normal.
connect to them better than
Yeah,
most
absolutely,
people. It's
absolutely.
human, yeah.
But I also think that the group that I hang out with, they like if anybody like everyone would be okay with like inviting other members of the team to that. You know what I mean? And I think that John and JoJo, they'll host a couple of things like every now and then, and they'll invite everybody. And from what I've seen, like on the like social aspect of it, like our team, everyone gets along.
Yeah.
Everyone gets along.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a cliche question. I obviously I have jiu-jitsu practitioners in here, MMA fighters and all that stuff, man. What makes a good fighter, man? Like personally for you, what is the and try to get as specific as you can, just personally for you from what you've been through, because everyone has a different answer. And you know, uh yeah, everyone has a different definition of it.
I think for one, just showing up. Like if you don't show up, you're never going to be good, right? Showing up, having like an intention to each practice that you go to, have an intention with what you're going to do in that practice. And then that's also going to like help what you take away from that practice too. But I think the biggest thing is being coachable. I think over the last like couple of years that I've been fighting, I've just met so many people that could be great fighters, but they just don't like being coached. They don't like being told what to do.
That's that ego aspect.
It's the ego aspect, yeah. So I guess like being able to check your ego at the door, trusting people around you. You can't like it is a solo sport, but you have to be able to trust the team around you. Like I can't go into practice thinking that the guy next to me is gonna like has something out for me. Because then we're never gonna be able to work good together.
Yeah.
And if we can't work good together, then we're not gonna get good training in, and then that's just gonna ruin the intention of the practice.
For sure.
The other thing too is I hate to say it, but you got to win. You got to be able to find a way to win.
Hey man, we're honest over here. Yeah, I mean, you got to be straight up.
Yeah, you could be the best person in the room in the entire world. You could be the best person in the room, but if the lights shine on you and you don't get W's, you're not going to be a good fighter. Yeah. So being able to take in that pressure too. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Being able to handle pressure, being coachable, being there, and then that's what winning.
How do you train being able to handle that pressure? Because some would say that that's kind of like a innate ability in like a natural innate ability for a human, like kind of like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan in like the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just can't teach that shit.
Sometimes you can't teach that shit.
Do you think that statement is true to where it's like, okay, well, this guy just folds under pressure all the time,
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, there's some people that like, they break for whatever reason, they break under the lights, or when things get tough, they just can't handle it anymore. But I think like a good key to success and like hopefully not putting pressure on yourself is just to like let it all go. Like if you know that you did the best work that you could possibly do, and your coaches saw that you did that, and then like your training partners all saw that you did that, and the people that love and support you know that you're always doing what you're supposed to be doing. I think that like if someone could like really grasp that into them, it takes all the pressure of winning like away, and then whatever happens. That's like the hardest part is like, you want to win, you don't want to lose, but you only like the people that are never going to do this are the only ones that are going to be doing it. The people that love and care about you, regardless of what the outcome is, as long as you legitimately put forth your best effort into all aspects of the camp and the fight.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty much like you just do your very best, right?
Yeah,
And then
literally.
you
Yeah,
kind of just like let the outcomes go.
Yeah, it's so cheesy
Yeah.
to say, but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's really all you have to do. And that's like sometimes people just make this harder than it needs to be.
That's true,
Yes.
man.
And some
That's a good statement,
yeah,
actually.
and
Yeah.
people make it way too hard. They overcomplicate things when in reality, like we're just fighting. Yeah, it's just a fight.
It's like anything else.
Yeah, it's just like anything else.
Yeah, funny thing is, it's like competition is just that. It's just like a label, right? It's kind of like, okay, well, it's a competition. But then again, you know, like say I've had like Jordan Levitt on here, and he was like, when you have more at stake because he just you know, got I believe his second kid.
Oh,
and
nice.
then it's just that kind of changes the game. That just kind of changes the game.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like, wait, now there's a person involved, and then if you win or lose, that's going to determine whether you get half your check or not.
Yeah. No,
So it's
absolutely.
almost like, I guess, yeah. I mean, on like that part of where he's at, like UFC, and, you know, all that stuff. I mean,
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. I said yet.
Stick with me, son.
Yeah, stick with me. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, when we get there, it's a whole nother ball game because there's so much more, I guess, to say, quote unquote, lose.
Yeah, there's more, but also too, like, I feel like when you get to that point too, you probably also like are comfortable with where you're, like what you've done already. So it's like, and like those situations too. If you end up losing, then depending on how you did, too, like that could be just as much of a win for you too.
That's
you know,
true.
like let's say you had a banger of a war, they give you performance of the night, fight of the night, or whatever. Yeah, you didn't get the other half of your purse, but you got a couple other perks from it too. You know.
Yeah, and then it's one of those things where it's just like Michael Chandler, like just stock go up, right?
Yeah, literally.
It's not just about. Actually, I would even argue that it's not about just even winning. If you put on a fucking performance, even if you lose, you're fucking like.
There's more ways to winning than just winning the competition.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is entertainment.
Yeah.
For people, right?
Absolutely.
They're the ones buying tickets and purchasing, you know, products and stuff like that.
Like I just lost my professional debut, but with that loss, like now I'm gonna have hopefully more opportunities to get more fights because someone's gonna look at my record and be like, "Oh, he's 0-1.
Yeah,
let's take that fight." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. See, that's actually a great reframe.
Opens up the door for me to take in more. You know.
Yeah, that's almost like welcoming.
Yeah,
that
which
you know.
There has been a lot of people who have asked me if I'm gonna stop fighting. I'm not. I have no plans on it. It's not my first loss.
Wait, why?
Because
really?
There's a lot of people I've met out here that fortunately they haven't seen me lose. You know, especially after the year that I just had. I went for 3-1.
Okay.
And that for whatever reason they just thought that I was gonna quit after losing.
What, really?
That I was done, and I was like, guys.
That doesn't even make. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's take it back. We were talking before this. You know, I know in the MMA community, you know, everyone likes to help each other out, but in particular, you know, when I was taking the Muay Thai class with you, man, you'd come in and just, you know, help these guys work. And can you talk? You were talking to me a little bit about that. Can you talk to me some more about like where you get that kind of like, you know, that reciprocation kind of acumen, let's help each other out kind of thing? Because I know that's a big thing. If anything, that's what I want to pinpoint out, like as far as a self-development podcast, because I think it's so important. Like we need each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it goes back to, you know, like on fight night, you're the only one in the cage, you and your opponent. And so it looks like a lone sport, and same thing in like, I grew up wrestling my entire life. It's same thing with wrestling. You know, you're the only one in the mat, in the middle of the mat against your opponent when when the whistle starts. But I've been very fortunate enough in both wrestling, fighting, whether it's MMA, Muay Thai, or boxing or jiu-jitsu. But I've had a lot of people like they saw how hard I was working and like how good I wasn't at that point in my life, and I just had these people that would take me under their wing and help me develop and grow in each aspect of like whatever martial art I was practicing. And I took care of them, you know, like whenever like we'd go out to eat or anything like that, or for their birthdays, you know, and I'm still really good friends with a lot of those people, and I try to take care of them whenever I can. But and like during all that work, they'd never ask me for like anything in return other than they just like enjoyed watching me grow and like flourish in those like conditions.
Yeah.
And so now for me, I'm 31 years old and I've been in this for like almost 10 years now. I guess like the best way for me to give back is to help the same like type of people that I see, like from those people that saw me back then. So like I see like a younger version of myself, like when I first got here and I saw all these like young guys like James, or not struggling, but just like, you know, starting off like James, Nas.
No, that's that's a great example. I actually, you know, like the Muay Thai, I guess quote unquote the Muay Thai guys.
Yeah,
I know exactly who you're talking about.
The Muay Thai guys. Yeah.
I mean, I was there from the very beginning where they started doing USMTO competitions in C class.
Yeah,
right.
That's
like on the very what do you call it? Like the low level end of that competition with Nas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. James, Aram, like every one of those guys. Everybody. And then I remember you guys would like travel with them and you know and all that. Yeah,
no, that's like to me that's the best thing I could do right in the position that I'm in life right now. The best thing I could do is just give back to those guys everything that I learned and tell them, don't worry about like paying me ever, you know what I mean? I was like, this is the least I could do for you.
Yeah, and
if you're putting in this much effort right now, like, and the best thing I could do is give you a couple of words of advice and you could take that and that helps you out, that's all I need, you know?
That's true, man. I mean, actually, you just said it right there, is that if you're putting in the effort, how can you not help him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like, wait, this guy's giving everything he has, and you can tell that they're serious about doing this, right? If it'd be one thing, and it's okay to be, you know, obviously a hobbyist, we encourage that.
Yeah.
But then to be able to see a guy and then he's just getting beat up in and out, like James exactly was a good example, right? Because shit, man, like in the beginning, dude, he was just so
green.
He was green. He was naive, right? He was
green.
Just fresh. He was just like some kid.
But he had fire.
He had fire.
He had fire. He had spunk.
And he still does.
Yeah, like, still does. James the dog.
He still keeps that. Yeah.
Shout out to Jamshit.
Yeah, Jamshit. Fearless Rising.
Rising.
But yeah, no, he's a great example because even with me, when we'd spar, man, like when he first started off, it's just, dude, he'd get the shit beat out of him. Not by me or anything. It's just, you know, by everyone.
Yeah.
And he just never quits.
Never quit. And now he won the USMTO.
Yeah.
You know, a couple times, right?
Yeah. And not only that, this kid was always like late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was always fucking
always late.
Like always late. I mean, he still kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's just, he just completely turned it around. Let's say 90% because he's late too. But you know what I mean?
But you know what? Being late, it's not the worst thing you can do.
It's not the
best thing you could do. But
yeah.
We might know like a world champ or two.
Yeah.
That's all.
Just because you've been taking a beating, James, we're going to let you pass on that one. You know what I mean?
But, you know, and even that, like James, like he came into striking with no knowledge, or at least to my knowledge, he didn't have any background in it, took his beatings, and then now he's doing good in that. But the other thing that a lot of people don't like, and I'm not just saying him, but like it's specifically for him right now, a lot of things he doesn't get credit for is that he goes into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He goes into jiu-jitsu and he gets beat up in jiu-jitsu, but he still goes back time and time again. And like I'm watching him progress in that too. Yeah. So it's like that's...
Bro, yeah, I've said this like over and over. I mean, I don't want to keep being like a broken record, but you know what's funny is that like a lot of people that strictly do like say Muay Thai and then a lot of people that strictly do say jiu-jitsu, they're both curious in like cross training.
Yeah.
But then it seems to, and I like, let's face it, I know what it is that they don't want to start over.
Nope.
Right?
Because it's scary.
It's scary, especially going from being really, really competent at like say striking and then having to get smothered in like jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's a pure example of Jamesy. And it's crazy because I can only name a few that do that. Jamesy's one of them.
Montreal's becoming one of them.
Montreal.
Nas, I think Nas.
Well, Nas, yeah, I mean, for sure.
Nasir's been like, I think he's been like, I watched him go from like...
Biggest improvement award, dude.
Yeah, biggest improvement award. Especially like striking, I felt like he just... I wasn't there for the very beginning of his striking, but when I met Nas, he was a stud. But he wasn't so much of a stud in the grappling area. And now he's a menace in the grappling area.
I've seen him pick it up in like the grappling area. I started grappling before him. I mean, just because I'm older. But then, you know, when he he just took it. You know what it is about him? It's not even, yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit of athleticism and all that. That's just the pinnacle. This is cliche to say, but that's just the pinnacle of like showing up. This guy's showing up. I don't know if it is now the case because, you know, my schedule, you know, I have to do some stuff. So I'm not always at the gym. I'm sure he is, but this guy, I remember when I was constantly there, like constantly, he'd show up 2-3 a days. He'd put in the
all
work
the
after.
time.
He'd hit
all the time.
Yeah,
bro.
bag
all
work
the time.
after. And I don't know, maybe, you know, like ever since he has gotten pro, like maybe he has to tone it down a notch. That's not to say that he doesn't work as hard. I mean, he's still a fucking killer.
Oh, I mean, he's also busy too with like being a coach, like to the kids
Life,
class,
right?
and he's busy with
life.
life. He's growing. I think he just turned 22. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah, and I've tried to tell the younger guys too that because some of them feel burnt out from being there all the time, and it's tough. It's easy to feel burnt out when you're just training all the time and you're not competing. But I also try to tell the guys too, like, hey, like I know this is what life seems all it is right now. However, there is life outside of this too.
Dude.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
bro.
talk about
Let's
it.
talk
Yeah.
about it.
There is life outside of fighting.
Fuck.
And it's hard not to identify yourself with it, but there's gonna come a time in your life for everybody where you're not gonna be this anymore. So enjoy it while you can, but also enjoy the other things in life.
That's great advice, man. That's like some OG, like veteran advice right there.
Oh, I'm feeling.
Well, let's call it what it is. let's not like try to hide it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. Yeah, I want to stick to that because, like, listen, man. I think most people, fighters in general, besides like the competition aspect of it, I think they just like to train. They get addicted to that training aspect, and they get addicted to the camaraderie. It becomes their community. It becomes their family, and that's addicting within itself. And the thing is that it gets masked with like success and growth. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Growth is never a bad thing, and learning is never a bad thing. But then it's just it's just kind of like you're trying to one up people, and then there's this like hyper, like you're trying to one up yourself, which again is possibly the best thing you could do. But on the other side of that, it's a paradox. Because it could also cause the burnout. Because you're always trying to up yourself, which is a great quality. You should just probably keep doing that, even if you burn out, honestly. Because most people don't have that quality. But yeah, I think that's what happens, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. If you're, and I think that's why so many people right now, like we're seeing that jiu-jitsu is becoming like the most popular it's ever been. We're seeing Muay Thai become the most popular it's ever been. Boxing's becoming popular again. I think so many people are like switching over to martial arts from just like a general view of like what fitness is. Like if you're just running or you're lifting weights, because it's like, it's so easy to measure success and grow, or it's like so hard to measure, at least to me. Like lifting weights every single day, I mean, you're gonna see results, but at some point you're just not. And you're not gonna be getting stronger. So it's like it's hard to measure like success in those like aspects of fitness. But then when you go into the gym and then you start doing that, then if all you're doing is training, you're not competing, you're never gonna see the growth in that. You know, you're never gonna know where you're at. But it's always good to have like other hobbies outside of it too. You can't just make it your main focus, especially if like, let's say you're not very good, you know?
Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, if you're not very good at it and you continuously keep coming in and you're getting beat up or you're just not feeling it anymore, like if you don't have anything else to go to, then you're just going to be sad. You're going to be sad and mad.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's another great point. You can counter, like, it's a counter almost, counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like, you keep training and then you're not learning. And you know what's funny? In jiu-jitsu in particular, a lot of people get into that. A lot of people get into those plateaus, quote unquote, right? Like it's just you stay stagnant, especially at like the blue belt level to where, especially if you're measuring the externals of being a blue belt, right? Because it's the longest, I think, years you have for a belt. And then if you're thinking about external stuff like a purple, then you're like, well, when am I going to get the purple? Which you probably shouldn't think about anyway.
Literally.
You should
I've been a blue
just think
belt
about
for like
better.
4 years now.
Right. You're like fucking Khabib, dog. Like a white belt.
Yeah, I've been a blue belt for 4 years. Yeah.
But but like it's just people plateau, and then you're kind of playing the same game, right? You're playing the same game every day over and over, which, look, eventually, if you keep showing up, even against your will, and I love this quote, even against your will, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
There's no way that like you show up every day and then you're going to suck. That's just fucking science.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. And if you are, then you're.
Oh my God, I've never seen it, but if you are, geez, like, just quit.
Just go find something else.
Go find something else, because like that's not how it works. Like the what's it called? The physics of law. That's just, I don't know. Like, you're different if you just get shittier. But yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that's me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's yeah. No, that's facts, man. That's facts. Yeah, man. So can you give some advice, doing it for a long time? And I know you said like you have to have outside hobbies, but you know, how do you maintain that mindset, man, of like, yeah, you want to, like, say someone wants to compete and they want to go hard on it, they want to take it seriously. Since you've been there, what is your advice on approaching that, you know, for an upcoming fighter or someone that's beginning to?
My advice is someone coming up or someone who's kind of into it already is expect the unexpected and be ready to just roll with the punches. Like, no pun intended to the topic of it, but you never know what's going to happen. And when things do happen, if they're good, dope. If they're bad, try not to let it get to you. But if this is something you really want, you're going to find a way and you're going to keep pushing forward. Especially when people, like, I remember when I first started telling people I wanted to fight, everyone's like, oh, you're going to be in the UFC? I'm like,
funny, that's what they think about at first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
and I'm like,
UFC, it's
I'm
like,
yeah, I wouldn't say this if I didn't think I was going to be there. But then now 7 years down the road, all these people are like congratulating me and telling me that they've always believed in it.
yeah.
But you just gotta ignore the outside hate, and then you just gotta stand by your convictions.
Bro,
You gotta stand by your convictions.
that
Like,
is another, yeah.
Believing
there's
is
so
half
many
the battle.
fascinating. Yeah, that's so fascinating, man. All these light bulbs are clicking as we're talking because, you know, with this thing, not to say that anyone, you know, trashed it or anything, but that's a very true statement, to where when you first start off doing a venture, like fighting is different, right? Because yeah, we're surrounded by people that fight and it's normal to us now, right?
Yeah,
Like, as far as like training and stuff, and you're around fucking animals, it's normal to you. But when you talk to someone that doesn't train, or, you know, like, which is 99% of the fucking population, but since we're in an echo chamber of fighters, then we think it's normal.
Yeah.
It's funny because they'll say something like what you just said. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, UFC," you know. And once they say that,
I'm
like,
sure you
Jesus
probably got
Christ.
the same shit too when you started telling people about the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to get to,
Yeah,
right?
I
Because it's something creative.
Yeah.
Like, fighting is creativity. It's honestly, when I was talking to Coach Danny about it, it's more IQ based than it is, you know, as far as like physical base.
Yeah.
You have to know positions.
Yeah.
You have to know, like, your certain positions, you got to know how to cut them off. Those are all IQ kind of, but you got to be able to execute
This
it.
isn't a dumb person sport.
It's
This
not.
isn't a dumb, like,
It's not.
what
Yeah.
combat sports by any means is not a dumper. Like, there's a lot of high level critical thinking that's happening so fast in front of you, and if you can't solve the problem's going to solve you.
Yeah. So when you were saying, like, you know, 7 years in, and guess what, man? Like, it's funny that you say that particular like number, maybe 5 to 7 years, right?
Yeah.
And then you look back on it, it's like, well, here we are, man. You know, not that you're trying to even prove people wrong, because you just love to do it. But then, oh, I wasn't joking, right? Now you can kind of say to yourself internally, like, oh, I wasn't joking. Now that's the same as my point, and not just. And like I said, I've had great feedback, nothing but positive love for this. I've never actually had hate, you know, doing this podcast. But
It's a good podcast. I've listened to it. I've listened to the Nora episode. I listened to the Jerry episode.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And thank you. You know, that means a lot to me.
I'm
It keeps
excited
me going.
to listen to the Parker episode. That's one of my favorite guys.
Dude, that was an
guy.
insane banger.
Love that.
Yeah, it was a banger.
I love that guy.
But like, going back to it, it's like when someone tells you that they're going to start something, I understand why they kind of have their doubts. Okay. Like, I'd like to say, well, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to make it, you know, and all that. But I get it, because remember that statistic that I told you with the podcast?
Yeah.
99% of the people don't make it past 20 episodes.
20 episodes.
And then we're going to go across the board and in fighting. What the fuck do you think that number is? When someone says, I'm going to be a fucking, at least make it to the pros. Not even fucking like just amateur. Like even, let's cross a threshold of having 10 fights. Let's see how many people make it there.
Yeah, no.
10 fights.
From the time that I started, the group that I was around, like when I started, versus to like the group that they're like, there's guys that I used to train with that I thought were gonna be like contenders in the UFC, and this is before I even got to Syndicate. I used to train with some monsters when I first started out, and I thought these dudes were gonna like take it farther than I'll ever take it. None of them have like fought in the last like 4 years. I had like this big group. Me and my roommate Cam, we talk about this all the time. Like out of our big old group, there's like literally like 4 of us that are still. And that at one point there was like 30 people competing.
Yeah.
And like doing good.
Right.
And then for whatever reason, everyone just started like falling off, whether it be life or whether it be like financial situations or whatever, or they found like a new hobby. But yeah, insane. Bro, even like in the last like 2 years here at Syndicate, like the amount of people I feel like I saw. When I first got here and I met versus now, I'm just like, holy shit.
That's kind of why it's the behavior of like, it's not what you say, it's what you do that really determines character in a person. And I understand that like life happens, but if this is your life, I mean, life happens. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, that just kind of what's it called? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like it clashes, right? That theory
You're saying
clashes.
one thing but doing something completely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If life happens and this is your life and you want to make it as a pro fighter, and I know things change along the way.
Yeah.
Like people try it and they're like, oh, it's not for me kind of thing. And even in the middle of their journey, if they're past 10 fights, they're like, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But yeah, I mean, that's just the paradox of things, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, yeah, I'm going to make it about my life. And then, you know what's funny is that, you know, shout out Shane Shapiro because he'll kind of, you know, put it on his stories. And I think it's fucking hilarious.
We love you, Shane.
Yeah, we love you, Shane. Shout out, Shane. Come on the podcast, dude.
Come on the podcast, Shane.
Yeah, hurry up. It's been a long time coming. But we're like what he said that, you know, on one of his stories, which I thought was really hilarious, was like some people will put it on their bios, man. They'll talk about like, it's the bar talk kind of like, dude, I'm gonna be a champion one day, and these guys don't even show up to. They show up like once or twice a week for like a Muay Thai class.
Yeah,
and it's not even like a competition Muay Thai class. No. It's like all around like amateur. Yeah, I mean not amateur, but then all, you know, like a beginner's like Muay Thai class.
Everybody says they want to be something until it's like time to do it, and it's like it's in this like day and age, it's like the worst thing ever because it's like social media is like social media presence is everything, and like you could think that someone's like something on social media, but they know, and the people that are really into it know, you know, regardless of whatever it is, you know, whether it be like music, cooking, fighting, you know.
Do you think? Let me ask you this, man. Do you think that comes with age? Do you think that being us oldies? I mean, I'm 39, dog, but
you're 39.
I'm 39.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
A boy?
Hey, man.
Oh, man.
You know.
I thought you was a young little lumpia.
Hey, you know.
You Unk.
Yeah.
Someone called me Unk the other day at the gym, and I was like,
wearing that hat, I mean.
It's a hat, huh?
I'm
you know what? I'm only wearing this hat because I've had a couple people tell me that they hate hats like this, and that guys that wear hats like this.
Well, like, a lot of guys can't pull it off. That's the thing.
I didn't think I could, but I just wear it. I'm wearing this out of spite.
Fresh. It looks fresh.
Thank you.
It looks fresh.
I'm wearing this out of spite right now.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like the whole signaling. I think, listen, sometimes we all do it, right?
Yeah.
Because if we didn't, we wouldn't have an Instagram, even me or you.
Yeah.
It's like, some people will make the excuse like, because I want to show my family, you know. It's like, no, you don't. Like, you have an Instagram. If you want to show your family, then show your fucking family. Like, you know what I mean? Like, show them your phone.
You wouldn't have like 3,000 followers,
exactly.
You know, or you wouldn't be following 5,000 people.
Like, it's okay. We all do it. Yeah. It's just the I guess you could say the extremities of what you say. Like now, because here's the thing: is now you're just lying to yourself, right? When I post something there, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you know, like this is on the pod. Like, sometimes I'll signal shit out. I'll be like, look how cool I am, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Look where I'm at.
Yeah.
Look the
Yeah.
people I'm
No,
with.
for sure.
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? Like, straight up, it's just human nature.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But when you get past that boundary to where you're just fucking lying, like, one of those cliche to say, and you see it all around. It's you go into a private jet and then you're taking a picture saying that, well, like, this is the life I want to live.
Yeah.
Now you're just fucking lying.
Yeah.
That's just like lying through your teeth.
It's like a one-time thing.
Yeah. But if you're out there taking pictures with your friends, like, yeah, we just got that work, bro.
Yeah.
If it's true, it's fucking true.
It's
like
true.
you just got that fucking work.
And it's gonna show. It's gonna
Yeah.
show. At some point in time, it's gonna show. For us, it's gonna be the night of the fight. Whether you make it to the fight and how you look during the fight, or whether you're training for a fight and for whatever reason you don't fight.
Yeah, right.
There's always something that happens right before you're about to fight.
Yeah,
and I think
it's
we all
interesting.
know a couple people that are like
Of
that.
course.
They say they're professional fighters, but they don't fight.
I mean, the ones that say they're professional fighters and that go around saying that, it's kind of like saying this, right? It's kind of like talking about how honest you are.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says how fucking honest and how fucking good they are,
You're probably not that
You're
good.
probably not that
Yeah.
good. Yeah, like you're probably you have a certain sense of like peace in you, and you kind of internalize it, right? Like for you, man, and I say this objectively, right? Again, not blowing smoke up your ass. I'm pretty sure you know that you're a badass. Yeah, we're all humans, and sometimes we have doubts, we have fears, we have anxieties and stuff like that, and worries. But you can kind of gauge yourself, like for because of the evidence of how much work that you put in.
Yeah,
that's something that you can't lie.
Yeah.
To yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's more so now than as of ever. I've started to get like more confidence in myself, and it's because like you'll say something to me at the gym about how I'm looking that day, or like we rolled and you're like, damn bro, you like really did good that day, or like the coaches or my peers. It's mainly my peers that like make me feel this way, because a lot of the time like I might be known as like the emo boy on the team. And that's not like
what the fuck does that even
like
mean?
I'm the sad boy on the team.
Okay,
like
okay.
I listen to like all the
I got you.
because tonight will be, you know what I mean?
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Okay,
I listen to all that stuff.
Yeah, I love that
and
shit,
like
man. Catchy.
for whatever reason, I do enjoy being like a little bit sad, but like more so in the last like 2 years, I've been more confident in myself, and I believed in myself more than I ever have because of like the coaches, the people in the gym, my teammates, and everybody just like, I don't want to say complimenting me, but just like validating like my growth.
You are also a product of like who you hang out with, right? You are your environment. I mean, you just said it right there. It's mainly your peers, your coaches, and who you're around. I mean, if you weren't training, and then let's just say it went the other way, and then you were just like hanging out with just people that don't do anything. Well, you're gonna stay that way, right? Like
exactly.
you are a product of even what you consume, like what you listen to on like YouTube and stuff like that.
No, absolutely. And I don't ever want anyone to look at my algorithm.
Yeah, for sure, bro. For sure. Hey, man, if you go on my gallery, don't be swiping through there, okay? Don't be fucking swiping.
It's all on you what you see next.
Exactly. Don't get traumatized or anything, okay? But yeah, man, like, so what, we were talking about, talk to me about that boxing thing where you wanted to get boxing, because I think it's very cool for like fighters and stuff like that to see the other side of them, because you were talking about like, I wanted to start off boxing, but I thought I was a weenie. I thought that was fucking funny as shit, because boxing's no joke.
No, not at all. Boxing is no joke, and
you're just like this, badass fighter. So it's kind of like, shit, like fucking
somewhere along the line that happened for me. But I remember my very, 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 very first boxing fight that I ever watched was Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao. The very first fight, their very first fight, and because back when I was a kid, like boxing was so big, like it's kind of like what UFC is now, right? Everyone throws parties to watch the fights. My parents used to do that all the time, and growing up, like part of my family is Filipino, so we'd have like the Filipino side mixed with the Mexican side. So watching Manny and fighting Mexicans, like it was always sick. But I remember I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I watched Juan get knocked down 3 times in the first round. And normally in a boxing match, they'll call the fight after that.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they let the fight keep going.
Interesting, huh?
And then Juan Mambo started coming back. And I just remember them trading in the pocket, slinging leather at each other. And Jim Lamprey was like, Marquez firing back, Pacquiao back on the back foot. And they're just going at it. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fight breaking out in the middle of a boxing match. And like the moment I heard that and just like heard the crowd on the TV going crazy, I was like, I want to do that.
Dude.
I want to do that. But like all my friends, like I have this friend named Richard who like, he's my best friend, but he used to beat me up when we were kids. Like he's one of those like guys that like, if I could be a world champ one day and he'll still call me and be like, man, I'll fuck you up.
Right now,
you know?
Yeah. I hear you.
And then like my older cousins, they used to beat the shit out of me. Even some of my younger cousins used to like make me cry all the time too. So I was such a weenie when I was a kid that like, if you would have told me like 20 years from then, that moment, you know, we'd be in a world-class gym where like, I'm not doing bad. You know, I would have never believed it. So yeah, sure. I don't know where, but somewhere along the line, like I got a little bit tougher and I made like that dream become a reality.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. The whole boxing thing. Let's take it back because those were the fucking good old days.
Those are the days, bro. When boxing, like the little guys were on top of the world. Bro, you know,
the Manny. You know what's funny about that? You know, the whole Mexican Filipino kind of thing. The Mexicans all love fucking Manny Pacquiao. You know,
I like him now.
Yeah.
I like him now.
I mean, because I guess at least from my experience, because I used to, you know, like
we love
the
Manny.
restaurant industry, and then they'd call me like Pacquiao, and they'd be like, yeah, Pacquiao, and then they'd like kind of put their fist up and stuff. It's kind of like it was like a common language.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, damn, that boy could fight. Like, that's what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
It wasn't, they obviously they had their like Mexican pride and you're going to go with, you know, with your culture. Yeah. But dude, like,
I got love for my Filipinos though. Yeah. The Barrera fight.
The Barrera fights.
God, yeah.
Jesus, the Ricky Hattons too. Like, you know what I mean?
Dogged them, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I apologize to all my Filipino brethren that I used to talk a lot of shit about Manny when I was a kid. Yeah. But Southpaw to Southpaw, nothing but love, Uncle Man.
There you go, man. There you go. Yeah.
And one of my like the guys that really helped me develop my boxing, he's a pro boxer from Reno. His name's JJ Mariano, but he's Filipino too. Yeah. So we would always like chat and like, you know, talk shit to each other about stuff like that too. But yeah, I
mean, you know, anytime you're growing up like with a competition, there's always going to be a big brother, little brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, for
just
sure.
like what you said about your friend, right? Like Richard, like it's always like, I'll still beat you up, you know? Someone else says that to me too, you know, like I have this good relationship with one of my old friends. I mean, he doesn't train or anything, but you know, now that you train, you kind of know, and then you just kind of let him go. Like,
he'll call you, like, I'll whoop your ass.
I know. I was like, I know, bro. You know what I mean? Because you kind of know how it is.
Sometimes I hang out, Richard, because he'll try and make me flinch, and I do flinch all the fucking time. I'm like, stop, you're gonna hurt me.
Yeah. It's like pinching you. Just as long as you guys aren't grab ass. You know,
I'm grabbing ass. For sure.
You're like full on. Like full palm,
bro.
You got pretty big hands.
These hands are meant for grabbing ass.
Yeah.
Whose
They're
ass?
Meant for RNCs.
It just depends on the day, you know.
Yeah.
Boy or girl, you know.
That's so funny. So what's next for you, man? What you got? I know you got a pinched nerve going on.
Right now, I had a very, very active last like 5 months. We got about 4 fights in, which was dope. I did get some boo-boos, and right now my number one priority is to heal this up the safest and quickest way I can. I'm crossing fingers that they don't tell me that I need surgery, because if they do, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I would like to get back in the cage sometime either early March or mid-March at the very latest. Yeah, if I could find something end of February, you know, promoters, if you're out there.
Yep.
Talk to my manager. Let's work something out.
It's your boy.
I like I said, I just turned 31. Feel better than I've ever felt. Feel younger than I've ever felt. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I'm slowing down. And as far as like skill wise, I don't feel like I'm slowing down in progression by any means.
I mean, technically, you're at like your prime, right?
Yeah.
I know fighting ages are different, but I mean, 31 and 32, I think, is like the prime for athletes. I think, right?
Oh, well, and you know what, bro? I didn't start striking until I was 23, and I haven't taken any gnarly hits or anything like that. So I still think I like longevity is in my like future. Like I'm riding longevity out pretty good. But you know, if everything works out in a perfect world, I could probably fight till I'm like 38, and I'm like, for my fighting career, I'm here for a good time. You know, not a long time. So. Like I said, I want to get healed up, and then after like around the springtime, I'm ready to fight. I would like to get like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 fights in next year.
All right, yeah, I think that's a great way to like, approach it. Just have fun with it. And I know it's easier said than done. A lot of emotions are involved, and it's particularly competition. And if you're gonna take this very, very seriously, but at the end of the day, man, if you take yourself outside of your own self, out of your own head, you're just going to know it's just another thing in life.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Yeah. Like you said it the best. Like you have to find something outside of fighting. It just can't be like your full identity.
Yeah. And I think I do I kind of have my feet like dab or my hands dipped in a couple other things. I'm not like super pursuing into them a lot, but like I love music. Like I spend so much money on concert tickets and festivals that like people like would look at that and they're like, you're stupid. But that's I think that's what I got coming up next. I got a couple concerts to go to, and then we got a lot of guys that are in camp right now. And I think the best way to be a good partner is to be in shape and to be ready to help out everybody that needs help for their camps. So I'm excited to help everybody.
And it also makes you ready, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
No, literally, And in this day and age, I'm lucky to be working with some of the best people in the world.
Absolutely, man.
At all levels.
We're blessed.
And you never know who they're going to end up like needing.
Yep.
At some point,
Of course,
so, Yeah, I'm excited for that.
All right, man. Well, I'm excited for your
Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thanks, dog.
Yeah.
Thanks for wearing that, man. That's sleek. Like, I'm taking notes. You know what I mean?
You're going to make me blush in front of everybody.
You know what I mean? By the order of Pablo.
By the order of Pablo.
Fuck yeah, let's
Thank
go.
You, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.